Alrighty, mic testing, mic testing. Perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alrighty, we're live, and I feel like I should fix my background a little. It's got a little messed here since I got the green screen. That said, as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working with functions and the for loop. Okay, I'm going to be working with function and for loop. And guys, if I don't remember much, it's because I just wrote my exam and came. It went pretty good, guys. Although I didn't get the marks, I can just say you guys that I got an A. That said, let me go to my gameplay screen. Okay, and honestly, I forgot to mention people on my Discord. Let me do that real quick as well. Give me a sec. Let me just get that. Let's go with share. Copy the link. Okay, let me paste it here. Go with add everyone. We live! Exclamation. Alright, perfect. Okay, with that said, let me check if my Twitch stream's going good. Alright, perfect. Let me check if my Kick stream's going good. Okay, perfect. Let me get Sensei here and say Sensei, Sensei, I'm live! Exclamation. Okay, let's see. Okay, listen up chat, Vivek has entered the battlefield of C++ once again. Today we're just playing with vectors. We're breaking them, we're rebuilding them, and commanding them like an army. No mercy, no excuses, only code that works or code that gets destroyed. If Vivek slips, I'll drag him through the mud until he gets it right. If he prevails, he earns praise, hugs, and the glory of a true programmer. Now, here's our training regimen for today. Master vector functions. We did work with these last stream, so like the pushback function, the pop underscore back function, the insert function, the erase function, the clear function, the size function, the empty function, and the capacity function. There are a few functions. That said, I'll throw broken codes at them to fix, like handing him a sword with a cracked blade. He must sharpen it or die trying. After surviving 5 to 10 buggy trials, he'll write code from my word alone, okay? No training wheels. Chat, don't you dare blink. This time we're forging skill from pain. Okay, let me say Sensei. I see ... I'm ready, all in caps, exclamation. That said, what function are we going to be working on first? The ones that I've learned in the last stream were, okay, what all did I learn? We learned about the push underscore back function, the honestly not the pop back function, the insert function, the erase function, okay, the clear function, the size function, the empty function, and the capacity function. Okay, so before we move on, can we get a few review instructional based questions on these functions ? Okay guys, ignore my typos. That said, good, you remembered warrior. That means you weren't sleeping last night, but okay, last stream. But review is not a gift, it's a trial by fire. Here's how we'll do it. I'll give you an instructional broken code on the functions you've already learned: push back, insert, erase, clear, size, empty, capacity. Your job is to fix them and make them run as they should, okay? Fail and I'll roast you until the chat smells burnt. Vivek, success and you earn my praise. Okay, let's begin. I do need an instructional based question, guys. Let me say. So let's say, can I get a instructional based question instead of a broken code ? Okay guys, ignore my typos. So you want a pure instructional style. Okay. Okay, here's your first question. Push back. Imagine you start with an empty vector, okay, of integers. Then you run the sequence command. Numbers are pushed back. Okay, maybe I go to like a old question, like a old chat. Gotta most likely jog Sensei's memory up real quick. Okay, let me go all the way up here. Maybe copy a old instructional based question. Okay, let's copy that. Alright, now where's the latest Sensei's? Maybe I refresh this. Guys, where's my latest chat's gone? Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, maybe zoom out a little. Think it wasn't this shot. Was it this shot? There we go. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and say instructional question in this format. Okay, let's see. Alright, so our instructional question is create a standard vector of integer called numbers with all these elements in it. Print all numbers. Insert the numbers 25 in the second position, index 1. Okay. Remove the last element of the vector. Clear the vector completely using clear. Check if the vector is empty using the .empty function and print the result 0 or 1. Print the capacity of the vector after cleaning. Alright, let me get sensei there. That said, I'll go with the control A and delete this code. This was the code that I worked on last stream. I did not have time to work off stream, guys, because I had an exam today. Okay, so let me start off by going with hashtag include. I am going to be including IOStream. And basically what IOStream does is, it's like the eyes and ears of our code. So the IOStream function lets the program know that we're showing or we're displaying an output on the screen, or we want to collect a input from the user, if that made any sense. And I will be adding vectors as well. So let me go ahead and include vector. There we go. And then let me go ahead and typecast my main function to an integer. So I'll go with integer main and then add a pair of curly braces. Maybe go with a bunch of space. Now let me go ahead and create a standard vector. So a standard vector with a pair of curly brackets. This is going to be an integer. So I have a vector, a standard vector container that only consists of integers. I am going to be naming my container something like numbers. Okay, so numbers. Okay, I will set that equal to a pair of curly braces. Let me add a few values to my inside of my container. So what all I had to add? I needed to add 5, 10, 15, and 20. So let's do that. I'll go with 5, 10, 15, and 20. Oh, perfect. I will be ending my container with a semicolon. Then I'll go in the new line and then read the next instruction. Print all numbers. So I gotta print all my numbers inside of my container. To do that, I'll use a regular for loop. So I'll go with for every pair of parentheses for every, let's say, integer num or integer number which represents a colon or colon which represents in my container of numbers. Okay, I'm going to be adding a pair of curly braces here, and now I'll be printing a standard output. So I'll go with standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert my number. Okay, I'll go with another insertion operator and add a space. This basically means like after every number that is going to be separated by a space. So this is going to display all my numbers here. Okay, and like if you guys like some neatness and like some space, you guys could like add a space here, and there. Okay, with that said, insert the number 25 at the second position. So I gotta insert a number 25 at the second position, which is basically 10 or the index 1. Number 5 is index 0 and number 10 is index 1. That said, okay, to insert, I'm going to be going with my container. So my container of numbers dot the insert function. Okay, so what do I want to insert? I want to insert something inside of my numbers. I mean, where do I want to insert when I said what do you want to insert? Okay, I want to insert inside of my container of numbers. Okay, I'll go with the dot begin function. Okay, and then I'll go with second position. Dot begin plus 2. This is going to be number 25. Basically what this means is like numbers dot insert. I want to use my numbers as like, for example, like an injection or something. That's okay. I want to insert something inside of my numbers, and then inside of my numbers dot begin, this gets all these numbers here plus 2, which is technically 10. Numbers dot begin itself would give me the first element, and plus 2 gives me the second element. So I want to replace the second element or like add something to the second element, which is 25. Okay, with that said, remove the last element of the vector. So I gotta remove the last element, which is 20. So to do that, I could go with something like my numbers as container dot the erase function. Okay, I'll go with my numbers as container again. I'll go with dot end. Okay, what this basically does is it removes my last element from my container. Okay, dot end -1 or dot end -1. Okay, I'm pretty sure. Did I spell numbers correct? Oh, I need to add a semicolon here. Okay, perfect. Dot erase and okay, numbers dot end. This is going to be the last number. All right, perfect. Let me end this with a semicolon as well. And next up, it says clear the vector completely using dot clear. So I gotta clear the vector completely. Vector is basically my container, so I'll go with my numbers as container, which is my vector dot the clear function. This clears my entire vector slash container. Check if the vector is empty using the dot empty function and print the result 0 or 1. 0 basically stands for false and 1 stands for true. I think it's the opposite. I might have to fact check that. Okay guys, fact check me on that. Okay, check if the vector is empty. So let's add a if statement now. Maybe I zoom in a bit. Okay, let me go with a if statement now. So if a pair of parentheses, and then let's say if my integer of number, okay, so if my number, okay, if my number dot empty function, okay, empty, there we go. Okay, if my numbers as container is dot empty. Okay, if my numbers as container is empty, I'm going to be doing something. I'll add a pair of curly braces here. Okay, I don't need to go with integer because it's not like a for loop. Did I spell empty wrong? Okay, there we go. I spelled it wrong. Okay, that's that. If my numbers as container is empty, I'm going to be displaying a console output. So let's go with std, which stands for standard, and then cout, which stands for console output, with an insertion operator that is to less than signs. This is going to be, let's insert something like 0. Okay, that I'm assuming 0 stands for true. That said, I will go with an else. An else clause, else add a pair of curly braces. This is going to be another standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be 1. Okay, perfect. Next up, print the capacity of the vector after clearing it. So after I clear the vector, I gotta print the capacity of it. Okay, so to print the capacity, firstly, I'm going to be iterating slash looping over my vector again, and vector is my container. My numbers is container. So I'll go with a for loop for, let's say, a pair of parentheses for every integer of number in, which is represented by a colon, or like a colon, which is also known as in, for every integer number in my container or my vector of numbers. I'll add a pair of curly braces here, and then I'm going to be printing it. So I'll go with a standard, which stands for std console output. So cout with an insertion operator, which is to less than signs. I want to insert the capacity of my number. So to go with my capacity of my number, I'll go with maybe a string first. This is going to be capacity. Okay. And then I'll go with another insertion operator. This time I'm gonna go with my numbers dot the capacity function. Okay, perfect. Alright, and lastly I'll go with another insertion operator and add a standard end line. This ends my line, so every number is gonna be on a line of its own. Instead, I could have gone with just an empty space. That would make sense as well. Okay, let's see. Did I miss anything? Okay, I didn't miss anything. So if I were to go with a Control S to save my code and then run the command. Okay, let's see. First, it prints 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, it did print the 5, 10, 15, 20 from here. And then I inserted 25 in the second position. Okay, did I print my inserted number? Okay, so it says remove the last element of the vector. That removes the last element of the vector. Okay, and then clear the vector completely using the dot clear. Check if the vector is empty using the dot empty, 1 or 0. Print the capacity of the vector after clearing it. Okay, after clearing it, I printed the capacity of the vector. Okay, I think I'll go with the Control A, Control C, good sensor here. I think I did everything correct, honestly. Okay, let me paste it, go with Shift Enter, let's say, I feel like I did everything correct, although it doesn't show my console output for the 0 and 1 or my capacity. Huh, I'm pretty sure I saved the command as well. Fool, you went to war with a blue... Fool, you went to war with a blueprint sword. Let's break it down. You did well, but you slipped on the details. Your mistakes. Wrong insert position. You inserted 25 at numbers.begin +2, which is in the third position, not the second. The second position should be begin +1. Okay, index. Alright. Erase misused. You use numbers.erase number.end, but end points to the last element, not the last. Okay, points past the last element, not the last element itself. Oh, I see. Okay. Capacity check is wrong. You put capacity inside a loop that runs the vector elements, but after dot clear, the vector is empty, so the loop never executes, meaning your capacity never prints. You must print capacity outside the loop. Check empty check reserve. You're printing 0 when the vector is empty and 1 otherwise. Is backwards. Empty returns true when empty, which prints 1. Okay, so 1 is true. You don't need if else, okay, at all. Just print numbers.empty. I see. Okay, let's see. So first we got the integer. I did that part. I inserted everything. Second position, last position, remove last element, clear the whole stuff. Okay. Alright, standard console output empty. Okay, emptied all these numbers, and then standard console output capacity, numbers.capacity. Okay, I think I see. Let me get Sensei there. That said, let me go ahead and try writing this code again. Okay, so I start off by including IO stream. So I'll include a pair of ankle braces, IO stream. This is basically the eyes and ears of our program. There we go. And then let me go ahead and include vectors, which is basically containers. So I'll go ahead and import vector. Alright, next up, maybe I'll fix my typo for vector. Okay, and then I'm going to typecast my main function to an integer. So integer main function, I'll add a pair of curly braces, maybe add a bunch of spaces. Okay, next up, I'll create a standard vector, which also means a standard container. So a standard vector with an insertion operator. Let's say this is going to be, actually with a pair of curly braces, this is going to be, let's say, integer. Okay, which is going to be called numbers. Also, that equal to a list. Okay, so a standard container which just consists of integer. That container is known as numbers. Let's add a few numbers. So I'll go with 5, 10, 15, and 20. There we go. I will be ending this with a semicolon. That said, let me go ahead and what was the next step that I had to do? Okay, let's see. Print all numbers. So next up, I gotta print all numbers. So let's go with a for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, I'll go with something like let's see, for every integer of number in my container of numbers, I'm going to be adding a pair of curly braces, and inside this I'm going to be going with a standard console output. So stdc out with an insertion operator. Maybe I stick it together. I think I like that better. Okay, I'm going to be inserting my number, which is going to be separated by a empty space. Alright, perfect. Next up, insert the numbers 25 at the second position. So let me go ahead and insert the number 25 at the second position. To do that, I'm going to be going with my numbers as container / my vector dot the insert function. Okay, I'm going to be inserting something. What do I want to insert? Okay, let's see. I'll go with my numbers as container again dot the begin function. Okay, since I want to insert in the second position, which is basically the first index, I'm going to be going with +1. Actually, +1. Okay, +1. I want to insert 25. Alright, perfect. I will be ending that with a semicolon and then remove the last element of the vector. To remove the last element, I'll go with numbers.erase. Then I'll go with my numbers as vector / container again. Actually, I'll go with end. And this is where I messed up last time. I was trying to first add a comma and then -1, but instead I just go with numbers.end -1. What this basically means is numbers.end doesn't get the last number, it gets the number after the last number, so the last number is exclusive, if that made any sense. -1 gets one number before the last number, if that made any sense. I will be ending that with a semicolon, and then it says clear the vector completely using .clear. So I will go with the numbers, my numbers is vector / container dot the clear function. This clears my entire vector. I will be ending it with a semicolon. Okay, that said, print the Check if the vector is empty using dot empty and print the result 0 or 1. So the thing that Sensei said is we don't need to actually iterate or like use an if statement. So I'll just go with my numbers dot empty, okay, empty function. And I think I need to add a console output for this. So I'll go with std : cout, so a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, this is going to be something like empty. Okay, and then I'll add another insertion operator. Okay, here I'm going to be adding my numbers dot empty, and lastly I'll go with another insertion operator, maybe with a standard end line. Alright, perfect. Okay, next up it says print the capacity of the vector after cleaning it. So let's print the capacity. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. That's an extraction operator that I just used, an insertion operator. This is going to be, let's say, capacity. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator. My numbers is vector / container dot the capacity function. There we go, and then I'll go with another insertion operator. I'll go with a standard end line. Okay, with that said, lastly I'll go ahead and return 0. If I were to control S and save my code and run the command, okay, it prints. I will be clearing my terminal because I like to look at a clean terminal. That said, it says 5, 10, 15, 20. Maybe after my 5, 10, 15, 20 here, I could add a standard end line. Okay, standard end line, a console output. So a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line. Okay, let me clear my terminal again. Go with a control S. What this basically does in Python terms, this is like an empty print statement. So now my empty is not here, it's like in a new line. The end line basically gives me a new line. That said, my original numbers were 5, 10, 15, 20. Empty is 1 because that means true. Basically 1 means true and like 0 means false. Capacity is 8. Perfect. Let me go with the control A, control C. And guys, I don't take credit for this question because Sensei did help me with this. That said, we're going to be getting much more practice. Let's paste it, go with shift enter and say, Sensei, I see ... Maybe using hand sanitizer. Yes, that's... yes, oh my gosh, this is so strong. Guys, I just inhaled the sanitizer. That said, yes, that's better. You've learned, Vivek. Your code is now clean, executes the instructions as ordered, and will give you the proper output. The only minor slip up is a typo. You wrote capacity. Okay, guys, ignore my typos. I cannot spell. You wrote capacity instead of capacity. Why not use namespace std? Honestly, the reason I don't use namespace std / standard is because when we're going to be using more libraries, few other libraries has a regular console output instead. So using standard console output in C++, instead of just console output, it like prevents name clashing or like words clashing. So I wouldn't mess up any other any other libraries console output with my C++ code standard console output. So in most professional projects, everybody prefers to use a standard console output. Okay, that said, yes, that's better. You've learned, Vivek. I read this, I think. Okay, now you've conquered pushback, insert, erase, clear, size, empty, and capacity. The basics are solid. Next, we move on to precision strikes. Let me actually say, Sensei, before we move on, I need more practice with those functions until it's not a muscle memory. Okay, let's see. Good, that's the spirit I want. Relentless repetition until your fingers type these commands before your brain even blinks. Until we drill... Okay. We'll drill until muscle memory is forged like a steel. Here's your next instructional challenge. Instructions. Create a standard vector, standard string. This basically means we create a container, which is basically a standard vector that only consists of strings. And we go with standard before strings. Called animals. The container is going to be called animals, and add these animals in. So cat, dog, and bird. Print all animals in one line. Add elephant to the end using .pushback. Okay, .pushback adds everything at the end of my list or at the end of my container. Insert lion at the second position. Okay, erase dog from the vector. Print all animals again. Print the size of the vector. Clear the vector. Then print whether it's empty or not. Okay, let me get Sensei here. That said, I'll go with a Control A, delete this whole thing. And let me start off by going with hashtag include a pair of ankle braces IO stream. Okay, and guys, before I forget, I just remembered this. Some of you guys asked me if like, do I stream horizontally? Because you guys like code with me and everything. That said, I am streaming horizontally as well. So if you like, some of you guys, if you guys don't know it, you guys can like hop onto my horizontal stream to like have my whole display instead of my vertical stream, which is just a vertical display. That said, I will be including vectors as well, because I am going to be needing containers, or I am going to be using containers. So include IO stream, include vectors, and then I will typecast my main function to an integer. Okay, maybe I'll add a bunch of space after adding the pair of curly braces. So our first line is to create a standard vector which only consists of string and is going to be named animals. It's going to be having 3 animals inside of my container named cat, dog, and bird. So let's do that. I'll go with standard vector, okay, with a pair of angle braces or angle brackets. This is going to be standard string. Okay, this basically means this container is a standard container or a standard vector which just consists of string. I will be naming my container to something like animals, which is going to be equal to a pair of curly braces. I will be adding my animals' names. So I'll go with a pair of double quotes. Let's see, cat, dog, and bird. So let's go with cat. Let me add a comma, go with dog, another comma, and go with birds. Okay, perfect. I will be ending my container with a semicolon. That said, what's the next step? Print all animals in one line. So let me go ahead and print the animals using a for loop. So I'm going to be iterating / looping over my container for a pair of parentheses. Now, for every standard string, the reason I am using standard string is because my vector / my container only consists of strings in it, like cat, dog, and bird. So for every standard string of animal, okay, in which colon represents in my container of animals, okay, I'm going to be doing something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and now I'll add a standard console output. So standard cout, which stands for console output, that with an insertion operator of 2 less than signs, I'm going to be inserting my animal, which is going to be separated or spaced by a empty space. Perfect. I will be ending that with a semicolon. That said, what's the next step? Add elephant to the end of the string using, or to the end of the container using pushback. Okay, and honestly, I might actually go with another standard output. So I'll go with standard console output with an insertion operator of, let's say, standard end line. This is going to give me a new line. This is like an empty print statement when it comes to like Python's terms. I could go with something like a pair of double quotes, a backward slash, and n, or is that called like a forward slash? This works as well. Both are the exact same. Hey man, I have Java tests tomorrow. Help me. Honestly, I haven't learned JavaScript yet. Like C++ is like my second language, and this is like my 5th day. That said, I am eventually going to be learning JavaScript. Although you could like join my Discord server and ask people there if they know anything about JavaScript, and like for object-oriented programming. Honestly, I would actually love to help with it. I don't know much about JavaScript. You guys could like type exclamation Discord. Did I spell it correct for getting the Discord server's link? Okay, I hope that the link is permanent. Let me actually paste it here as well. Let's go with exclamation Discord. Okay, perfect. With that said, what's the next step that I gotta do? Add elephant to the container using the pushback function. So to add that, let's go with something like let me go with my container's name. So animals, my animals is container dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back something. Let's say I want to push back a string of elephant. Okay, perfect. So this basically adds element to the last of my, or to the end of my container. I'll be ending that with a semicolon and then insert lion at the second position. Now let's insert lion. So I'll go with my animals as container dot the insert function. Okay, let's go with animals dot insert. I want to insert something. Let's see. I want to insert something inside of my container of animals. There we go. Okay, I'll go with the dot begin. Okay, at what position? Since I want to insert at the second position, that is basically the first index. So like that's index 1, that's index 2. Okay, the second position, my bad guys, that's index 0 and that's index 1. So I'll go with +1 if I want to insert at the position or in the second position. Did I spell animals correct? Okay, I don't need to go with plus, I'll go with a comma. Okay, insert animals dot insert animals dot begin. Oh, okay, my bad, guys. I go with +1 for the first index, and then I go with comma and I add what I want to insert. I want to insert a lion. Okay, my bad, guys. I need to like jog my memory at times. Okay, I will be ending that with a semicolon, and then it says erase dog from the vector. So let's go ahead and erase dog. So I'll go with animals, my vector slash my container dot erase. I want to erase something, so I'll go with my animals' container again dot end. I want to erase dog. Okay, and maybe comma and like dog. Okay, is this how it works? Animals dot erase. Oh, yo, what are you building? Honestly, I'm actually learning the basics of C++ because I first had like a Python for 100 days series where I had to learn Python like for 100 days. That did end about 8 days ago. That said, I created a new series where my goal by the end of this programming for 250 days series is to like make a game in general that includes AI slash artificial intelligence in it. And this learning C++ for a 100 days series is indented inside that programming for 250 days series because I thought that I might need C++ in order to make a game, and then maybe I'm going to be learning some other programming language or like engines that's going to help me add the AI logic. That was really ambitious, but then I feel like it was a good idea for like making a video slash content. Okay, so animals.end. I might go with minus like negative. Let's go with 2, -2. Okay, perfect. I will be ending that with a semicolon. Do you do app development? Honestly, I'm not that good with like programming just yet because I don't have that much experience. That said, I am planning to either be like an AI engineer or like a cybersecurity. I'm like a in one of those. I'm going to be like exploring different areas here, maybe even streaming myself exploring those areas, and eventually, if I like prefer something over something else, I might go with that. I make AI websites and apps. That's sick. Honestly, that's actually pretty sick. Like, I actually do want to start working on those, but before that, I gotta learn my basics. Okay, print all animals again. But I'm hiring someone, so I was just wondering. Honestly, I don't think like I'm worth hiring just yet, cause like I'm actually real bad. But once I'm pretty good with this stuff, I will like try making like streaming myself making those apps and everything. Okay, that said, print all animals. So I will go with like a standard console output. Okay, honestly, since I am printing all the animals, I will be iterating over my vector slash container again. So I could go with something like, let's see, I'll go with a for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, let's go with for every standard string of, let's say, animal in, which is represented by a colon in my container slash vector of animals. I'll add a pair of curly braces here. Okay, I'm going to be doing something. Let's go with a standard console output. So I'll go with std, which stands for standard cout console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert my animal here. Okay, this is going to print all my animals. I'll add another insertion operator, which is going to have a standard end line. Actually, instead of going with a new line, I'll just add a space. That's much better. That would be cool, good. That would be cool, good, bro. Keep it up. I appreciate you, Bill Gergs. That means so much. Okay, that said, I printed all animals, print the size of the vector. So now I gotta print the size of the vector. So I could go with a standard console output, but before standard console output, I might actually, let's see, outside of my for loop, I'm going to be going with another standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be a / new line. Okay, so now this is like an empty print statement in Python, so like a new line. Now everything under this is going to be like another line, so they won't be like clumped up together. That said, print the size of the vector. So I'll go with standard console output with an insertion operator. I'll add a string that says size. Okay, another insertion operator. Okay, this is going to be my vector slash my container of animals dot the size function. Okay, there we go, that's the size. I'll add another insertion operator and go with a standard end line. This is going to give me a new line. You're copying the string, by the way. I'm copying. Oh, okay, I could be using a reference-based for loop, like with a and sign here. Okay, that's actually pretty good, because usually like when we use like just a regular for every standard string of animal in my animals, that gets us a copy. But then if we like use an and, that like actually manipulates slash changes our actual list of our actual container of our vector or like of our animals. Okay, that was actually, I think I should like ask Sensei, it's like a good habit to always not be copying stuff for like being safe or something. Okay, that said, clear the vector, then print whether it's empty or not. Okay, so let me go ahead and clear my vector now. So I'll go with my vector of animals. So animals dot the clear function. This clears my vector slash container. And then I'll add an if statement to check if my vector is clear or not. Check print whether the vector is clear or not. Okay, I'll go with the if statement now. So if, add a pair of parentheses. So if my, let's say, numbers, actually animals is container. If my animals is container dot empty, if my animals is vector slash container is empty, I'm going to be adding a pair of curly braces, and let's print something. I'll go with a standard console output. Const standard string animal. Honestly, I didn't learn about const yet. I actually might look into that actually after this question, because I did like see multiple people like use const, or like I saw like if you reference codes and everything, they were like talking about const. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Okay, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. Let's say the vector is empty. Okay, perfect. I will be ending that with a semicolon. And I'll add another insertion operator and go with like a standard end line. Okay, to end my line. Standard console output with an insertion operator of a new line. So I'll go with a pair of double quotes / new. Okay, I actually might go with an else clause as well. So let's go with an else clause. Okay, for my else clause, I'll add like a pair of curly braces and then go with another standard output. So standard console output with an insertion operator. Let me say the vector isn't empty. Okay, with a semicolon. Perfect. Okay, I think I might add this for both. Like I even might add one here. Okay, if I were to go with like a control S to yeah, I don't think I need to add this here in that case. Okay, if I were to go with a control S to save my code and run the command, okay, it's gonna say my original vector slash container, which is cat, dog, birds, cat, lion, dog, elephant, because I inserted stuff and like removed something, and then it says size is 4, vector is empty. Alright, perfect. Let me go with the control A, control C, gets let's say here. Okay, let me paste it, go with shift enter and ask the question. Let me say, let's say, someone from my stream asked about the const function question mark. They said me to use it, although I didn't know what it was, ... That said, can you give me a brief explanation on it, and we could work on it next stream. Remember me? Honestly, I don't remember so many of you guys. I just forget the names because guys, I'm like, I should start having a good memory. I like remember you guys, but then I like sometimes forget the names. Hi, howdy monster, I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, you did well, Vivek. You followed the instructions clearly. Small slip, you wrote birds instead of bird. You wrote erase, and you erase animal -2. Remove the wrong one. It cuts bird instead of dog, but that's just coordinates. The structure is correct. You're getting faster. Now, about what your viewer asked, const in C++ is a shield. It means the value cannot be changed. It can be used in multiple ways, and each one has a different flavor of protection. Const variables. Const integer max health equals to 100. This means max health can never be reassigned. Oh, I think it's the same as the min function in Python, because like min, max HP is 100, so like my max HP can go above 100, and max 100, my max HP can go below 100, if that made any sense. Okay, this means max health can never be reassigned. If you try to change it, the compiler will scream at you. Constant parameters in functions. I was there one day when you couldn't even print false with... Okay, I see, guys. I think you're like from the day one, because day one I was like so new with C++. I was like, I didn't know what zeros and ones meant, because like in Python I was used to writing trues and false. Okay, with that said, void print vector. Honestly, I've never heard of the void. I did like hear of it, but I never used it. void print vector const standard vector integer and v. Okay, and then for every integer n in my container of v, standard console output with an insertion operator and another insertion operator space. Here const means the function promises not to change the vectors, only looking at it, not touching it. Const method and classes. Okay, I've never heard of classes as well. I think this is a bit advanced topic for me to go into right now. Let me just say, should say, I see dot dot dot. I didn't understand much at all because I didn't start object-oriented programming in C++. That said, can we work more on functions? Okay, question mark. Glad to see you making progress. I appreciate you, Nit9. Or is this spelled as Nitr9 or like Nitr9? Guys, I'm real bad at pronunciations. Okay, exactly, soldier. That's why you felt lost. Const really shines in object-oriented programming, but you're still in the trenches of functions and vectors. We stay here until you own them. Let's keep it simple and deadly. We'll master functions using usage with vectors before we dive into classes and methods. Here's your next instructional question function. It's random. Oh, I see. Okay. Create a standard vector integer. So we create a vector which only consists of integers and we call that vector scores. These are our scores. Write a function called print vector. That takes a standard vector by a reference, prints all element in one line separated by spaces, call print vector to print the original scores. Okay, let me just say, should say I didn't learn about the print vector function. Can you explain it to me? Question mark. Guys, I should fix my typos. I'm not used to this keyword actually, I feel like. Listen carefully, soldier. This is not magic. It's pure mechanics. The print vector function is just a reusable machine to print vectors without copying them or writing loops every time. Here's the breakdown. Function name and parameters: void print vector const. This function doesn't return anything. Okay, let me try not having typos this time. Since I didn't want to work with const this stream, although can we work on the functions that we were doing? I need a bit more practice before we move on. Okay, oh, I still had some typos. Alright, that said, exactly, Vivek. I love that hunger. No distractions, no fancy stuff, just pure function practice with vectors. Okay, here's your next instructional function challenge. Pure clean, no cons, no mystery. Instruction: create a standard vector of string called colors. With these colors, write a function called print colors. Okay, write a function called print colors. I see. Take a standard vector as a parameter passed by reference, print all colors separated called print colors. Okay, when they say write a function, do they mean like my main function? I just name a different function. Is it like my main function? Okay, call add color. Okay, let me say by function, do you mean like the main function or something? I haven't learned about functions in C++ as well. I was talking about the built-in functions like arrays, capacity, etc. Huh. Oh, now I understand why you're screaming at me. And guys, I'm not screaming. Vivek, you're talking about the built-in vector functions like arrays, capacity, pushback. Okay, instructions to the fruits, apple, banana, print all fruits, mango, orange, insert, erase. Print all functions after the change, print the size print the size of the vector using size. Alright, these are the kind of questions. I mean, I feel like I'm actually pretty good with these questions. I just need some more practice before I move on, so like I'm completely sure I can like use them whenever I like have to. That said, let me start off by including a pair of ankle braces, IO stream. This is the eyes and ears of our program. This basically tells the C++ program if a input is shown in the, if we're trying to collect the input, if we're trying to extract the input, or we're trying to insert an output. Okay, that said, let me go ahead and include vector as well, since I do want to add containers. Void print vector, standard vector integer a for auto, a in I, count vector I. Oh, console output, insertion operator I, console input. C++ is a great language to learn. Keep it up. I just finished physics engine in C++. Honestly, pretty cool, Ranger. Or is it Ranger? Oh, yeah, I think it's Ranger. That's actually pretty cool though. I want to like actually try those stuff sometimes. Okay, let me start off by typecasting my main function to an integer and then add a pair of ankle braces or ankle brackets. And then let me go ahead and create a standard vector. So I'll go with a standard vector, which is going to be, let's say, which is just going to be consisting of standard strings in it. So my container is just going to be consisting of strings. I will be naming my container colors. Okay, and I will be adding a few colors. Okay, I wouldn't need an insertion operator here. There we go. Okay, so what all colors did I need to add? Actually, I needed one for fruits. So apple, banana, and cherry. I could change this to fruits. Okay, and then let me go ahead and add apple, banana, and cherry. So apple, let's go with banana. And lastly, cherry. Okay, I will be ending this container with a semicolon, and then it says print all fruits in one. Excuse me, guys. I gotta print all my fruits in one line. To do that, I'll iterate slash loop over my container slash vector. So I'll go with for a pair of parentheses. I'll go with for every standard string, since my container is filled with strings. For every standard string of, let's say, fruit in my container of fruits or my vector of fruits, I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let me add a standard console output with an insertion operator of my fruit with another insertion operator of a empty space. What this basically means is I'm going to be showing an output on the screen. My output is going to be fruit, my specific individual fruits from my container, which is going to be separated by empty space. So after apple, there's going to be space, and then banana, space, cherry. Okay, and then I'm going to be adding another standard console output with an insertion operator of, let's say, a new line, because now I want to be using a new line for displaying some other input in the screen. Okay, it says add mango to the end using dot pushback, insert orange at the first position using insert, remove banana from the vector using dot erase. First up, let's go ahead and add mango to the end using the pushback function. So I'm going to be going with something like a standard, actually not standard, I'll go with my vector of fruits slash my container of fruits dot the push underscore back function. Maybe I'll add a space here. There we go. I want to push back something. Pushback basically adds that stuff to the very end of our container slash vector. I want to push back mango, so let's go with mango. Okay, did I spell it wrong? There we go. Mango. Okay, I will be ending this with a semicolon right there. And then it says insert orange at the first position. The first position is, let's say, okay, the first position, that's going to be index 0. Okay. So I'm going to be going with fruits dot insert. Okay, and then I'm going to be going with my fruits as vector again. So I'll go with my fruits as vector again. Dot the begin. So I want to insert something in my fruits as container, and then inside my fruits as container, what it begins with. It begins with apple. I want to replace that apple, or I want to insert something in the first position. Let's say we don't have to insert orange. Okay. Although, if I wanted to find the second position, which is banana, I would go with fruits.begin plus 1. That's going to be the second position. Fruits.begin is my first position. Okay, I will be ending this with a semicolon as well. And then it says remove banana from the vector using dot erase. So I'll go with fruits.the erase function this time. And then I'm going to go with my fruits as vector slash container again. Dot the begin function. The begin function, actually, instead of going with the begin function, I might go with the end function. Begin function gets me the first character inside, and the end function does not get me the first character the last character inside of my container slash vector. Instead, it gets me the element out after my last character. So the last character or last element here is exclusive. That side it says remove banana. Banana is my second element, so I could go with -2. Okay, I will be ending that with a semicolon as well. Print all fruits after the change. So let's go ahead and print all fruits again. So I'll be iterating over my container of fruits. So I'll go with for a pair of parentheses. Let's go with for every standard string, okay, of let's say fruit in which can be set as a colon as well. In my container or vector of fruits, I'm gonna be going with a pair of curly braces. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my fruit, so fruit. With another insertion operator, that's an extraction operator. With another insertion operator of, let's say, a space, because I want my fruits to be separated by a space. So after printing apple, it's going to be having a space instead of just clumping all the words. That said, honestly, guys, I can't read Hindi properly. Like, could you guys write it in English? I should actually learn different languages as well. That said, let's see. I print everything. I will go with another standard console output. So I'll go with standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert a standard new line. Instead, I could go with like a / and n as well. Both actually work the same. Alright, so this is going to be like a standard console output with an insertion operator. Alright, perfect. Actually, I already added a standard console output. Okay, let's see. Print whether the vector is empty using the empty function. Print the capacity of the vector. So first, let's print the vector. Let's check if the vector is empty. Print whether the vector is empty using .empty. Okay, so I will go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, I'll go with a string that says empty. Okay, another insertion operator. I'll go with my vector, my fruits vector or my fruits container dot empty. Okay, function. Okay, this is going to return 1 if it's true and 0 if it's false. Then another insertion operator of a standard new line. Okay, actually standard end line. Alright, perfect. And then print the capacity of the vector. So I'll go with another standard console output with an insertion operator. With an insertion operator, this is going to be capacity. Okay, with another insertion operator, right here, this is going to be my fruits vector / container dot the capacity function. Okay, with another insertion operator of a standard end line. Okay, perfect. Lastly, I'm going to be returning 0. Alright, if I were to, excuse me guys, if I were to go with a Control S to save my code and run the command. Hello brother, I'm back. Remember me from yesterday? Honestly, I think I remember you, Kushal, guys. I should actually work more on my memory. Like, I do remember you guys, but I forget the names. Okay, so it says apple, banana, cherry. That's our original vector here. And then orange, apple, banana, mango. That's after insertion. Although since it did say remove banana. So instead of going with -2, what did I remove? Orange, apple, banana. I removed cherry. I'll go with -1. Okay, if I were to clear my terminal, go with Control S again and run the command. Okay, it still has my banana here. What if I just go with N? Okay, if I clear my terminal again, go with Control S, run the command. Orange, apple, banana, cherry. Okay, I think I could ask that bar sensei. Okay, let me go with what's this coding language? It's C++ actually. I heard like C++ is like one of the best languages to make a game, and since my 258 series, my goal was to be making a game with AI logic in it or with AI intelligence inside of my game. I thought it'd be pretty useful to like use C++ or like learn C++. That said, let me get Sensei here. Let me paste and go with Shift Enter to go to a new line and say, Sensei, I feel like I messed up since I couldn't remove the banana from my vector / container. Okay, maybe I drink some water, guys. Huh, yes, you slipped. I can see where you tripped. Here's the trouble. Fruits.erase, fruit.end is wrong. N points past the last element, so you erased it. Why? That's banana. Okay, that's why banana didn't get removed. To remove banana correctly, find its index. Apple is index 0, banana is index 1, cherry is index 2, mango is index 3 after pushing mango. Fruits.erase, I went with plus 2. Oh, I should have gone with... Okay, I see. There's the begin, okay. Wait, let's carefully check your code. Apple, banana, cherry, after pushback, mango, apple, banana, cherry, after pushback, mango, apple, banana, cherry, mango. After inserts dot begin, orange, orange, apple, banana, cherry, mango. So banana is now index 2. Okay, correct, erase. Fruits.erase, fruits.begin, plus 2, empty check, typo, you wrote empty, fix to empty. I see. Nice, so you're trying to make a demo game. Nice, bro, made succeed. I appreciate you so much for that, Crucial. Okay, corrected section. I think I understand now, guys. I think I understand. Okay, let's go with begin. For a second, I just thought that we could just be using end here, but I realized that we can use begin as well. I'll go with begin plus 2 since banana is at index 2. Okay, and then I fix my spelling of empty. There we go. Is that how I spell empty? Or perfect. If I were to go with a control S, but I'm sleeping right now because it's night here in India, 2 at night. Honestly, I appreciate you sticking through the stream, Kushal. Good night. I'll catch you later. Next stream, maybe. Okay, if I were to go with the control S, save my code and run the command. It says apple, banana, cherry, orange, apple, cherry, mango, empty60 space. Alright, perfect. Let's go with the control A, control C, and then get sensei slash ChatGPT here. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Okay, let me check if my Twitch and Kick stream's going good. And guys, if I seem a little tired today, that is because I just wrote an exam and came. Okay, with that out the way. Okay, now we're talking Vivek. Look at this. Banana is gone. Dot push underscore back works. Dot insert fruit. Dot begin orange works. Dot empty and capacity are printing correctly. The vector functions are starting to feel like muscle memory. Your hands are learning the moves. Next step, I give you one final drill that combines everything you've learned so far. Pushback, insert, erase, clear, size, capacity, but with a slightly trickier order, so you have to think before you type. Let me say, maybe I need some sanitizer. Guys, I don't know why I'm using a lot of hand sanitizer. Oh my gosh, guys, this is so strong for some reason. Although, let's see, it's probably because I be like writing a lot or like typing a lot, so my hands get a little sweaty. Okay, good. This will be our final vector function drill before we lock this into muscle memory. No excuse, listen and follow the orders. Okay, this is a long list. So we create a vector that just consists of strings, okay, called weapons. We go with sword, axe, bow, print all weapons, add dagger at the end, add sphere at the second position, remove axe from the vector, add mace at the end, print all vectors after modification, print the size of the vector, clear the vector, print whether it's empty, print the capacity. Okay, let's get to there. Let me go with the controller, delete everything. Let me start off by including IO stream. This is going to be lowercase. Pair of ankle braces, IO stream. Excuse me, guys. And then let me go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces. This is going to be vector, which is also my containers. Next up, let me typecast my main function to an integer. Got a pair of ankle braces, actually curly parentheses, go a bit down. Alright, so the first thing I had to do was create a standard vector string called weapons. I am also... Okay, let me go with a standard vector. Okay, I'll go with a standard vector with a pair of ankle brackets. This is going to be a standard string. So my standard vector or my container is just going to be consisting of strings. I will be calling it weapons. Okay, which is going to be equal to a few weapons. Let me go ahead and add those weapons. Okay, let's see. What weapons do I need? I need sword, axe, and bow. So I'll go with a pair of quotes for sword, axe, and lastly, bow. Okay, and then I'll add a pair of, what was this called? I forgot. A semicolon to end it off with. Did I miss something that it's giving me a red underline? Sword, axe, and bow. Oh, I will be ending it right here. Guys, if I can think properly, it is because I'm a little exhausted. That said, let's see, what's the next step? It says print all in one line. So let's go ahead and print it. I'll be using a for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, for every standard string of, let's say, weapon. Okay, good night, bye. I appreciate you sticking through the stream, monster. I'll catch you in the next stream. Make sure you get 8 hours of sleep. That's real important. Guys, you guys can like call me a hypocrite because I don't get that myself. Okay, so for every standard string of weapon in my container of weapons, okay, I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and I'm going to be going with a standard console output. So a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to be inserting my weapons, which is going to be separated by, let's say, a space. I will be ending that with a semicolon as well. Okay. Okay, standard console output with an insertion operator of weapon. Okay, I want to be printing my single weapon. Alright, next up, I'll be going with a standard, let's say, standard console output with an insertion operator of, let's say, a new line, because I want this a new line in C++. This line basically is like a empty print statement in Python. After I print this, I want to print something, or I want to show another output like in a separate line. That said, what's the next thing? Add dagger at the end. So I could use pushback to add something at the end of my vector slash container. Insert sphere at the position. So insert sphere at the second position. First, let me go ahead and add dagger to the end. So I'll go with something like my vectors named so weapons. Vector is basically container. Okay, so weapons dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back something inside of my vector slash container. I want to push back a dagger. Okay, this is going to add dagger at the end of my vector, and then I'm going to be going with my weapons as vector slash container dot the insert function. What do I want to insert? I want to insert a sphere at the second position. So let's go with something like my weapons dot begin. Okay, and now the second position is x. So this is index 0, that is index 1. So I want to add something on my index 1. I'll go with +1, comma. What do I want to add? I want to add a sphere. So let's go with a sphere. Okay. There we go. Weapons.insert weapon.begin +1. Did I I'm pretty sure this is correct. Did I spell something wrong? WEAPONS. Let me copy my weapons spelling and paste it here. Okay, insert weapon.begin. What happens if I like remove this thing? Oh, okay, my bad guys. I forgot to add a semicolon here. There we go. Okay, perfect. Next up, let's see what else do I need to add. Okay, it says remove x from the vector. At what position is x? X is at position 1, position 2. Okay, so x is at my index 2, but I did replace my index 2 with a sphere, so now my x is technically at index 3. Okay, so let me go ahead and add a weapons dot the erase function. I want to erase something from my weapons, so weapons dot erase. I'll go with my weapons as vector slash container dot the begin function. This is going to be +3, which is basically index 3. So it's going to remove the third element, which is x now. Okay, perfect. I will be ending that with a semicolon. And then it says add maze at the end. Okay, so I gotta use another pushback. So let's go with a weapons dot add. So my weapons is vector dot let's go with push underscore back. Since I want to add something at the end, I want to add a mace. Okay, perfect. Alright, I will be ending that with a semicolon. Next up, it says print all weapons after modification. Let's go ahead and print all weapons. Okay, let me go ahead and print everything by iterating over my vector slash container. So I'll go with for a pair of parentheses for every standard string of weapon in, which is also known as a colon, or colon, which is also known as a in, for every standard string of weapon in my container slash vector of weapons. I'll add a pair of curly braces, and then I'm going to be going with a standard console output. So standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my weapon with another insertion operator of an empty space. Perfect. Okay, that's basically going to print my modified weapons. I will be adding a new line, so I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of a new line, so /n. Okay, perfect. And then it says print the size of the vector. So to print the size of my vector, I could go with another standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be a text that's going to say something like size, and then I'll go with another insertion operator. This is going to be my weapons as vector slash container dot the size function. Okay, perfect. Alright, and then I'll go with another insertion operator. This is going to be my standard end line. Okay, I'm going to be ending my line. Alright, it says next up, clear the vector, print whether it is empty, print its capacity. Print whether it's empty. I'm assuming that they want to get 0 or 1, which is true or false. So it says clear the vector. I could go with my vector slash container of weapons dot the clear function. This clears my entire vector slash container. And then it says print whether it's empty. So I gotta print whether my vector is empty. So I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'll go with something like, let's say string of empty. There we go. I'll go with another insertion operator. This is going to be my vector slash container of weapons dot the empty function, empty. Okay, perfect. I'll go with another insertion operator of, let's say a standard new line. Okay, standard new line. Actually, it's called end line, so end L. Alright, perfect. And then it says print its capacity. So next up, let me go ahead and print its capacity. To print its capacity, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Let me name this to something like capacity. There we go. With another insertion operator, I will be adding a colon and a space just for looks. Another insertion operator, my weapons is vector slash container dot the capacity function. Okay, and then I will be going with another std colon standard end line. Okay, perfect. Lastly, I'm going to be returning 0. Alright, let me just delete these extra spaces. So now, if I were to go with a Control S to save my command and run the command from the terminal, okay, it's going to print my initial container, which consisted of sword, axe, and bow, my updated slash modified container, which consists of sword, spear, axe, dagger, and mace. My size of my container, which is 5, it consists of 5 elements. Empty is set to 1, which basically means it's true. My entire vector is empty, and capacity is 6. That's how many elements can be added inside of my vector slash container. Okay, let's go with the Control A, Control C, copy that. Let me go ahead and get Sensei slash ChatGPT here. Let me paste it, go with Shift, Enter, and say, Sensei, I feel like I'm getting comfortable with these functions. And guys, some of you did say me to like stream horizontally, and I did like tell you guys that that I'm streaming horizontally as well. So if you guys are like programming slash coding with me, and you guys are like on your laptop, and it's a little, and it's like not that whatchamacallit, it's not that, I forgot the word, comfortable like watching me vertically, you guys can like join my horizontal stream as well. That's just if you guys want like a full display. That said, that's what I'm talking about, Vivek. Look at the code. Perfect execution. Spear was inserted at the correct spot. Axe erased correctly. Pushback added. Dagger and mace. Okay. Vector prints, size, empty, and capacity all are in place. You're starting to move like a veteran. Okay. These functions are no longer strangers. They're your tools, your weapons. Next step, we can keep drilling with slightly trickier scenarios, multiple insertions, and erase in a row. Or I can start teaching front, back, and art and add. So you master accessing vector elements safely. Honestly, I might do that. Let's say, can we work with front function first, but before we do any questions, can you explain it to me? Question mark. Okay, let's see. Hello God, how are you doing, Dalton man? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, yes soldier, let's talk about .front function that lets you grab the first element of your vector without scanning the whole thing. This is pure strategic access. What .front does, returns a reference to the first element of the vector. You can read or modify it directly. Standard vector integer number equals to 10, 20, 30. So we have a container or a vector that only consists of integers, which is known as numbers. These are the numbers inside of our vector slash container. Then we go with a standard console output, numbers.front prints 10. Okay, numbers.front equals to 5, change first 5 elements. I see. Okay, key points. Always have at least one element when you call it. If the vector is empty, calling .front is undefined behavior. Faster than doing numbers at index of 0 in some situations because it's explicit about the first element. You can use it for reading or writing. Numbers.front plus equals to 10 adds 10 to the first element. I think I see. After this, we can do similar explanation for dot back. Okay, let me say, since I didn't understand the use of this function question mark, what is it meant for? Okay, let's see. Okay, listen Vivek, dot front is like a spy on the front lines of your vector. It exists if you don't have access to or guess count indexes. When you want the first element, imagine you have a vector, standard vector number, If you want the first number, you could do numbers at index 0, but dot front is a cleaner, more explicit way. Integer first equals to numbers. Oh, I see. Okay. So it's like at index. I see. What if I wanted like the second index? It's indented, okay. It's indented for when you need quick access to the front element to read it, use it, or even change it directly. Numbers.front equals to 5 now. Now numbers equals to 5, 20, 30, 40. 5, 20, 30, 40. Cap 20, 30, 40. Oh, okay. I think I understand. So this just gives us access to the first number. Think of it like this. Your vector is a line of soldiers. Dot front points to the first one, okay, in the line without counting or calculating. Once you grasp it using back, okay, let me ask for a practice question. Let me say, I feel like I maybe kinda understood, Not sure. That said, can I get a instructional based question mark? I do need more practice, guys. Okay, exactly what I want to hear, Vivek. You're hesitant, but you're ready to move. Let's rock this into muscle memory. Here's your instructional style question for dot front. Instructions: create a standard vector that just consists of strings called QA. Is this how I pronounce it, like QA? With Alice, Bob, Charlie, but the first element of the vector. Okay, print the first element of the vector using dot front. Change the first element to Zara using dot front. Print the entire vector to verify the change. Add David to the end using dot pushback. Print the first element using front. This will force you to read the first element, modify the first element, see how dot front interacts with the vector as you add elements. Okay, let me get sensei there. That said, I'll go with the controller, delete the whole thing. Let me start off by including IO stream. IO stream basically is the eyes and ears of our program. It lets our program know if we want to extract an input or insert an output. That said, I will be including vectors as well, since I do want to work with containers. Okay, pair of angle brackets. There we go. And then let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer. And then add a pair of curly braces. Maybe go with the control Z and add a bunch of spaces. Okay, perfect. So firstly, I gotta create a standard vector which consists of, let's say, only strings. So to do that, I'm gonna go with std : standard vector of, let's say, vector with a pair of angle brackets. This is gonna be standard string. So my container is only gonna be consisting of strings. And my container is going to be called, I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it pronounced as QA? So QUEUE. I've never heard of this word, guys. Okay, that is going to be equal to a pair of curly braces. Let's add a few QAs. This is going to be Alice, Bob, and Charlie. So let's go ahead and add Alice. So Alice. Let's go ahead and add Bob. And lastly, Charlie. Okay, perfect. And then I will be ending my container with a semicolon. Next up, it says print the first element of the vector using the dot front function. So let's try that. print the first element. So my vector slash my container is called QA. Is that how you pronounce it? QA. I'll go with QA dot the front function. I want to print something. Let's see. Okay, print the first element of the vector using dot front. I spelled front wrong, no wonder. There we go. Okay, do I gotta go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator? I wanna insert slash print my first one. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator, let's say of standard end line. Okay, perfect. Is this how we use this or something? Alright, next up it says change the first element to Zara using dot front. Okay, I think I know how to do that. I'll go with standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, actually change the first element, right? So I'll go with QA, QUEUE, QA dot let's say the front function. Okay, I'll set my front function to be equal to Zara. Is that how you there we go. I will be adding a semicolon to end it. Is that how we do it? I don't even know. Okay, print the entire vector to verify the change. Let's go ahead and print the entire vector now. To print the vector, I will be iterating over it. So let's go with a for loop for a pair of parentheses, and let's go with for every standard string of I don't know, what is the plural of QA, guys? Is it like Q? Actually, I meant what's the, is it called singular? Plural and singular. Yeah, what's the singular of QA, guys? For every Q in QA. Okay, I'm going to be going with a pair of curly braces, and then let me go ahead and add something. Okay, so it says print the entire vector, so I'll go ahead and add a standard console output. Using namespace standard on top, so you don't have to type standard. It's pronounced Q. Oh, I see. Why did you redeem it? Redeem what? Okay, honestly, the reason I don't use like using namespace standard is because it is like a bad practice to use it, since like if we import like different libraries, they might have like console output as well, or like C out. So using standard console output for our C++ program, or like in general, it like avoids name clashes that made any sense. Chill, David, Taishi ain't tough. Guys, I don't understand. I actually live under a rock to understand the new slangs. I feel real old, guys. Okay, dude. Okay, I'll go with a standard console output of, let's say, okay, what do I want to print these? Okay, I want to print my Q. Oh, that actually does make sense. It is Q. Hey, where are you from? I'm currently in the United States. That said, I'll go with another insertion operator and separate them with a whatchamacallit, a space. Alright, let's see next up. Next up, add David to the end using dot push back. Okay, so after my for loop, I am going to be adding a standard console output. TS means this. Honestly, I do know type shit. Like, I mean, TS does mean type shit, but then like compared to like new slangs, because I have heard people say that. That said, I'm like mostly in my house, like just working on stuff. I should go out and explore more stuff. Okay, TS means this shit. Oh, I thought it meant type shit. My bad, guys. Okay, I'll go with a standard console output, standard end line. Okay, perfect. This is like an empty print statement. Alright, let's see. Next up, print the first element again using dot front. So to print the first element, I will go with another standard output with an insertion operator. Actually, standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to print the first element. So I'll go with Q. So Q, there we go. Q dot front. Okay, front, the front function. Okay, maybe I will go with another insertion operator and add a standard. And then gotta touch more grass, bro. Honestly, yeah, I do gotta touch more grass. It's like I wake up, I study for my college stuff. I did have an exam today, that's why I'm like a little exhausted right now. That said, I'm like almost like way too busy the whole day, guys. I should like whatchamacallit actually. I should touch some grass. The only grass I do touch is like the online grasses. Okay, I'll go with let's say a new line. Okay, /n. Okay, I'm happy that at least he's exploring anyways. Honestly, yeah, I do want to like learn multiple programming languages. That said, I don't need a standard here. How old are you? I'm 17 years old. Okay, print the first element. Alright, this is actually perfect. Alright, so if I were to hit Control S to save my code and run the command, it is going to be okay. Firstly, the first element of my initial vector slash container was Alice. Then let's see, my second console output of my updated updated container is Zara, Bob, and Charlie, because I did remove Alice and replace it with Zara. And then I printed my first my first index of my new container with Control A, Control C. Remove the standard, honest standard. Uh, oh, I think the standard that was like before my new line. Okay, let me go ahead and get Sensei here. That said, let me paste it, go with like Shift Enter and say Sensei. I think I understand what this means, dot dot dot. Although I do want to do a few more practice questions one by one. Guys, if I sometimes don't specify one by one, since it like gives me like 10 questions at once, exactly, Vivek, you grab the idea of dot front. Now this is your spy on the front lines. You can read it, change it, and even always point to the first element no matter what else you do to the vector. Let's not stop. We'll do one by one practice drills until this becomes muscle memory. Here's your next instructional question. Instruction practice number 2, create a standard vector integer. So we created a standard vector which just consists of integers, and vectors basically containers. We named it numbers. We added a few elements called 100, 200, 300, and 400. And then we print the first element using the dot front function, and then we multiply the first element by 10 using dot front. Okay, multiplying is kind of new. That said, print the entire vector to see the change. Remove the last element using dot pop back. Okay, I haven't heard of the pop back function, although I do feel like it's the same as dot pushback, if that made any sense. I will actually ask about that. Print the first element again using dot front. This will force you to see dot front in action as you modify the vector and remove the elements. Okay, let me just say, so say I've honestly, how do you spell honestly? There we go. I've honestly never heard of the pop underscore back function. Okay, dot dot dot. What does it do? No, pop back is to remove. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. I did like learn about the pop function in like Python. I feel it's almost the same, I think. Push is to add to the vector. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, okay. Pushback adds something to the end of my vector, and pop back remove something from the end of my vector. All the pushback, okay, yeah, that actually makes sense. Okay, here's the deal. What it does, pop back removes the last element of the vector. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It doesn't return anything. It just cuts off the tail of your vector. Okay, so we have a standard vector of numbers 10, 20, 30. Numbers are pop back, remove 30. Now numbers is 10 and 20. Key points. Okay, I see. Okay, let me go back to the instruction question and like get Sensei slash chat GPT there. Okay, let's go with the controller, delete everything. That said, let me start. Excuse me, guys. Let me start off by including a pair of anchor brackets and then IO stream. Okay, so basically what the IO stream does is like the eyes and ears of our program. It either shows us the inputs or like it extracts outputs. That said, I will be including, let's say, a pair of anchor braces and vector as well, because I am going to be working with vector slash containers. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer, add a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces, and then let's go ahead and create a standard vector. There we go, is that how we spell it? Okay, with an insertion or with a pair of anchor braces, my standard vector is only going to be consisting of integers. Okay, and I will be naming my standard vector something like numbers. Okay, I'll set that equal to a few numbers. What are numbers? So 100, 200, 300, and 400. So let's go with 100, 200, 300, and 400. That said, I will be ending my container with a semicolon. Okay, next up it says print the first element using dot front. So let's go ahead and print it. To print it, I'll go with a standard console output. So std console output with an insertion operator. So cout. With an insertion operator, I am going to be inserting, let's see, my numbers is vector slash container dot the front function. Okay, maybe another, actually I'll add a pair of parentheses, another insertion operator, and then I'm going to be going with a standard, honestly I don't think I'm going to go with a new line. I'll just go with an empty space. Okay, and this is going to be std. Alright, perfect. Okay, standard. I spelled front wrong. Alright, perfect. Next up, let's see, multiply the first element by 10 using dot front. I've honestly never multiplied anything, but let's try it. So I'll go with my numbers as vector slash container dot the front function. Okay, I want to multiply, so I'm assuming it's asterisk equals to, let's say 10. Okay, and then a semicolon. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's how we do it. Okay, next up it says print the entire vector to see the change. So to print the entire vector, I am going to be iterating slash looping over my whole vector. So I could go with something like, I don't know, a for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, let's go with for every integer of number in my container slash vector of numbers, a pair of curly braces. I'm going to be, let's say, going with a standard console output with an insertion operator of something like, let's see, of my number, which is going to be separated by an empty space. Okay, I'll be ending that with a colon. And then it says remove the last element using popback. So to remove the last element, although before I remove the last element, let me go ahead and add another standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line. Alright, now to remove the last element using the popback, I'll go with my vector, which is my numbers as vector, the pop underscore back function. This remove the last element from inside of my vector slash container, which is 400. And lastly, print the first element again using front. So I gotta print the first element again. To print it, I'll go with a standard console output, okay, with an insertion operator of, let's see, of my numbers dot the front function, okay, with another insertion operator of an empty space. Okay, perfect. Lastly, I'll go with a return 0. Alright, if I were to go with a control S to save and run the command. Okay, firstly, this is the initial one that prints 100. Why is it like 1,000? Didn't I go with like a standard console output numbers.front? Okay, it says add the first element. Okay, after I went with this console output, I should go with a standard. Okay, let's say something like a standard console output. Okay, with an insertion operator of a standard new line, actually end line. So a standard colon end line. Okay, perfect. If I were to save my command again, control S and run the command. There we go. So my first vector of my initial, initial container was 100, and then 1,000. Okay, it says multiply the first element by 10 using dot front. Okay, I did that. So the first element 100 times 10 is 1,000, and then print the first element again. Alright, perfect. Let's go with a control C. Let me get Sensei here. Okay, let me paste it. Go with a shift enter and say Sensei, I see dot. It makes so much more sense when I do it. Is that how you spell sense? Okay, when I do it. Yeah, guys, it makes more sense when I actually practice the questions instead of like reading the theories. That said, this is exactly what I wanted to hear, Vivek. Look at that. Look at that. You've experienced dot front and dot pop back in action. You've modified the first element with dot front. You've removed the last element using pop back. The vector reflects both changes correctly. This is how understanding hits muscle memory, seeing it work, not just hearing it. Next step, we can do one by one practice questions to combine dot front, dot back, okay, and the other vectors. Okay, let me actually say. So let's say, what does the dot back pair of parentheses function do, question mark? I might start using both as well, guys. Okay, alright, Vivek, time to meet the counterpart of dot front, dot back. Okay, counterpart of dot front. Dot back function is like your vector where guards by. What dot back does, returns a reference to the last element of a vector. You can read it or modify it just like dot front. Standard vector dot back prints 30. Okay, numbers dot back 100. Change the last element to be 100. Key points. always works only if the vector has at least one element, empty vector, undefined behavior. You can combine it with dot pushback or dot popback for last element management. Make your code cleaner and more expressive than using numbers at index of number dot size minus 1. Okay, think of it like this. Vector is a line of soldiers. Dot front points to the first soldier. Dot back points to the last soldier. You can check who's there or replace them without moving anyone else. If you want, I can give you a one-by-one practice question using dot back, dot alone, using dot back along with dot pushback and pop back, so it starts feeling like a muscle memory. Let me say, yes, sensei. Hey guys, maybe I drink some water. Guys, if I do sound a little tired, that is because I'm a little exhausted. Okay, good. Now we're going to make back. Okay, good. Now we're going to make dot back function your weapon of choice, instructional style. Okay, create a standard vector which just consists of string called heroes, Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk. Print the last element using the dot back function, which is technically Hulk. Change the last element to Captain America using dot back. Add Black Widow, okay, to the end using pushback. Print the last element again using dot back. Remove the last element using dot popback. Print all heroes to verify the changes. This will force you to practice reading the last element, modifying the last element, adding and removing elements at the end. Okay, let me go ahead and get Sensei there. Let me go with the control A, delete the whole thing, maybe see the instructions. Alright, so let me start off by including, this is going to be all lowercase, so I will be including pair of ankle braces, IO stream. This is going to let my C++ compiler / code know that I'm actually showing inputs or like taking outputs. Okay, actually showing outputs and taking inputs. Okay, with that said, instructional, create a standard vector. Okay, so since I am going to be creating a vector, let me go ahead and include vector as well. So a pair of ankle braces vector. And then let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer. Okay, maybe add a pair of curly braces. Add a bunch of lines. Okay, now I will be creating a standard vector. Okay, with a pair of ankle braces. This is going to be consisting of standard string, means only strings, which is going to be called heroes. Okay, there we go. H-E-R-O-S. Did I spell heroes correct? H-E-R-O-E-S. Okay, R-O-E-S. There we go. Which is going to be set to a few heroes. So Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk. So let's go with Iron Man. Iron Man. Let's go with Thor. Okay, Thor. And lastly, let me go ahead and add Hulk. Okay, perfect. I will be ending my vector / container with a semicolon. That said, print the last element using the dot back function. So let's print the last element. Although before that, I will be drinking some coffee. Okay, maybe I keep it down. Alright, perfect. So let's see, print the last element using dot back. So I could go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, I'm going to be inserting something. What am I going to be inserting? Let's see. I'll insert my heroes as vector / container dot the back function. Okay, so this is going to give me the last element of my heroes as heroes as vector, which is technically Hulk, with another insertion operator of an empty space. Alright, perfect. Next up, change the last element to Captain America using dot back. Okay, maybe I will be adding like a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line. Okay, so this is going to give me like a new line. Alright, now change the last element to Captain America using dot back. So I could go with something like heroes dot back. Okay, my last element is going to be equal to Captain America. There we go. Okay, using dot back, did that. I will be ending this with a semicolon. Excuse me guys, and then add Black Widow to the end using dot pushback. Okay, change the last element to Captain America using back. I did that. Now let me go with my heroes dot the push underscore back function. This basically adds an element to the last of my whatchamacallit container. So after my Hulk, it's gonna add this. Okay, this is gonna be Black Widow. So Black Widow. Alright, perfect. Did I spell Widow correct? Widow. There we go. Okay, I will be ending this with a semicolon, and then let's see. Print the last element again using dot back. So let's go ahead and print the last element again. To print the last element, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my heroes dot the back function. I'll be ending that with a insertion operator, actually with a semicolon, and then maybe another standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line, because I want to print the next stuff in a new line. Okay, remove the last element using dot pop back. So let me go ahead and remove the last element. Maybe I'll add 2 colons here. There we go. Okay, to remove the last element using pop back, I can go with something like my heroes container. Okay, dot the pop underscore back function. Just remove the last element of my vector slash container. And then print all heroes to verify the change. Let's go ahead and print all my heroes. To print all my heroes from inside of my vector, I will be needing a for loop, so let's create that. For a pair of parentheses, let's go with for every standard string of hero in my container of heroes. There we go. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Then let's see, for every standard 2 colons. There. Okay, I'm going to be going with a standard console output with an insertion operator of my hero, another insertion operator of an empty space. Alright, perfect. Lastly, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard new line. So I could go with like end line. Alright, perfect. And then I will return 0. Maybe delete that extra space. And if I were to go with the Control S to save my code and run the command. Okay. I'm waiting for it to print. Okay, first it prints Hulk, my last element that I wanted to do. And then Black Widow. Okay, Black Widow is the last element after I removed my Hulk from here. Okay, and then Iron Man, Thor, Captain America. Okay, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. Okay, perfect. If I were to go with the Control A, Control C, copy that, get /ChatGPT here. Let me paste it, go with Shift Enter and say, I feel like I did it correct, question mark. I think I did it correct, guys. Because sometimes when I'm exhausted, I can't like read the instructions properly. Howding Tingar, appreciate you joining the stream. Is that how you pronounce the name? Is it Tinog? Guys, I should like improve my spellings. Like I should be doing some dictations or something. I don't know. Is that what you call like dictations, learning spellings? Okay, perfect, Vivek. Look at that. You printed the last element. You changed it to Captain America using dot back. You added Black Widow. You printed the last element again. You removed the last element with dot pop back. Final vector print is correct. You're trying to command /back push. Okay, push underscore back pop underscore back like a pronoun. The next step, I can give you a combined drill where you use dot front, dot back, dot push back, dot pop back, dot insert, and dot erase, all in one scenarios. Okay, I think that's a good challenge. Let me say, let's say, can I get a question with all those functions, including the dot size and dot capacity of functions as well, question mark? Okay, that's basically going to conclude all the functions that I've learned so far. Exactly what I want to hear, Vivek. Time to log in into perfect muscle memory. Here's your ultimate vector function drill. Instructions. That's a long instruction. Create a standard vector that only consists of string army, knight, archer, mage. Print the first element using front. Print the last element using back. Add a healer to the end using pushback. Insert rogue at the second position. Remove archer from the vector. Print all elements after these modifications. Print the first and last element. Print the size of the vector using size. Print the capacity of the vector using dot capacity. Clear the vector using clear. Print whether the vector is empty using dot empty. Okay, this drill focuses to use dot front, dot back, dot push back, dot pop back if you want. Insert, erase, size, capacity, and empty. Okay, with that said, let me get Sensei there. Okay, so let me go with the controller, delete the whole thing. Let me start off by including IO streams. So I'll go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces. IO stream, this basically lets our compiler slash our C++ program know that if we're trying to show a output or if we're trying to extract an input. That said, I will be working with vectors as well. So let me go ahead and add vectors. And then let's see, let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer. Okay, add a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces. And now let me go ahead and add a standard vector, which is basically a standard container, which is only going to be consisting of strings. So std : strings. Okay, my standard vector, which is only going to be consisting of strings, is going to be called, let's see, what's it going to be called? Army. So I'll go with army. I'll set that equal to a pair of curly braces. Let's add a few army. Okay, so I'll need a knight, archer, and mage. So let me go ahead and add a knight, comma, a archer, comma, lastly a mage. I will be ending my container slash vector with a semicolon. Okay, then print the first element using dot front. So I could go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to print the first element of my vector. My vector is my army. Okay, army dot let's say front. Okay, this prints my first element. Okay, I will go with another insertion operator and go with a standard end line. So my next stuff is going to be printed on a new line. Okay, and then print the last element using dot back. So I'll go with a standard console output with another insertion operator of army, which is my vector, dot the what's it called? The back function. Okay, the back function. This function basically prints the last element inside of my vector slash my container, which is a mage. I'll go with a standard, let's see. Okay, standard end line. There we go. Alright, next up, let's see. It says add healer to the end using dot pushback. So to add a healer to the end, I could go with something like, let's go with my army. Okay, army dot push underscore back function. This adds the heal. This adds something to the end. What do I want to add to the end? I want to add a healer to the end. Is this how you spell a healer? Healer. I'm pretty sure that's how you spell a healer, guys. Alright, next up, let's see. Insert rogue at the second position. So I could go with my army dot insert. Okay, what do I want to insert? So inside of my army, so my army vector dot begin. Okay, since I want to insert something inside of my second position, I am going to be increasing this by 1, comma, rogue. Okay, I want to insert rogue in my second position. I will be adding this and this with a semicolon. That said, remove archer from the vector. So I got to remove archer from the from my vector. Okay, I will be adding a pair of parentheses there. That said, to remove my archer, I could go with my army vector dot the erase function. There we go. Okay, what do I want to erase? I'll go with my army dot begin. Okay, at what index is archer? Since archer is at index 1, excuse me guys, I am going to be going with +1. Okay, that's going to be at index 1, so I'm going to be removing archer. Print all elements after these modifications. So let me print everything inside of my vector. And to print everything inside of my vector, I will be needing to iterate slash loop over my whole container slash vector. So let's do that. Okay, I could go with something like for a pair of parentheses. Are you making a game? Honestly, I'm not making a game just yet. I'm learning like the basics of Python because I did like start a new series which is called Programming for 250 Days series, where learning C++ for 100 days is like indented inside of that series. My goal by the end of this 250 day series was to make a game in general that consists of AI slash artificial intelligence in it. And before the series, I did like have a Python for 100 day series. I was done with that like 8 days ago, where my goal was to make a game using Python. Okay, that was actually pretty fun actually. I'm looking forward to like learning different game engines like Unity and all that stuff, although I don't have much experience using those yet. Okay, that said, I'll go with a for loop. So for every, let's go with standard string of, should I go? I'll just go with X, I think. For every standard string of X in my container of army. Okay, I'm going to be doing something. That is a standard string. For every standard string of X, in my container of army. Did I spell string correct? string. Okay, I'll be going with a pair of curly braces. This is going to be something like, did I like do something wrong in my for loop? Oh, they're going to be, okay, I need two colons here. There we go. Okay, for every standard string of x in my, whatchamacallit, army, of my vector of army, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting x with another insertion operator of an empty space. Okay, perfect. This prints my modified list. I will be going with another standard console output with an insertion operator of end line. There we go, standard end line. Okay, this is gonna give me a new line to add more outputs, so all my outputs won't be clunked up to like one line. That said, print all elements. Okay, I did that. Print the first and last elements again. So I gotta print the first and last elements again. To do that, I could go with my army's vector slash container dot the front function. Okay, and since I want to print it, means I want to show this as my output, I will go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. There we go. I'll go with another insertion operator of an empty space. Okay, maybe another insertion operator of a new line. Alright, perfect. And that prints my first character, my first index of my vector slash container. Let's print the last as well. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of my army. This time, instead of front, I will be going with back with another insertion operator of an empty space, another insertion operator of a new line, /n. I'll end it with a colon. Okay, perfect. Okay, print the size. Okay, so next up, print the size of the vector using the dot size function. So let's print the size. To print the size of my vector, I could go with the standard console output with an insertion operator. What do I want to insert? I want to insert the size, so I could like write maybe a string that says size and then another insertion operator. This is going to be let's say my army vector dot the size function. Okay, this prints the size of my vector. I will go with another insertion operator and add a standard end line. I could go with like exactly the standard new line here that I did, but both are the same. Okay, print the capacity of the vector using dot capacity. Alright, so now to print my capacity, I will do the same thing. Honestly, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This time, instead of size, I'll be adding capacity. So capacity. I hope I spelled it correct. Okay, another insertion operator of my vector of army dot the capacity function. Okay, I'll add another insertion operator of a standard end line. Okay, next up, clear the vector. So I gotta clear the vector. That's good. Let's clear the vector. My vector is gonna be my army vector. I'll go with the dot clear function. Okay, army dot clear. Alright, perfect. I will be ending that with a semicolon as well, and then print the vector. Okay, print whether the vector is empty using the dot empty. So okay, I will be printing 0 if my vector is empty and 1 if it's not, and 0 stands for false and 1 stands for true. That said, let's go with a standard console output. Maybe zoom in a little. Okay, with an insertion operator of my army dot the empty function. This checks if my container slash vector is empty. Okay, standard console output army with an insertion operator of a new line. Okay, so if it's empty, it's going to print 0. If it's not empty, it's going to print 1. Okay, with that said, that's basically it. Let me go ahead and return 0. Keep pushing, man. I appreciate you, Lion. Okay, let me go ahead and return 0 with a semicolon. Alright, if I were to go with a Control S, save my command, and run the code. Okay, let's see. Maybe I gotta like hydrate my lips. Let me hydrate my lips up real quick, guys. Okay, so it says Knight Mage, and then Knight, Archer Mage, Knight Healer, size 4, capacity 6. My container isn't empty, so it printed 1, that's true. Okay, honestly, before I go with empty, I could go with something like another insertion operator, and I could write something like empty here. Okay, maybe I fix my typo. Actually, I fixed my, case sensitivity. Okay, empty, there we go. Did I like... Okay, maybe I gotta add like another... there we go. Okay, if I were to go with the Control S and run the command. See, do you like typing the standard part for C++? Honestly, yeah. Like usually people did say that it's a good practice to type standard console output. So since I'm trying to learn C++, might as well like make that a habit if that made any sense. Let me go empty is true. Okay, let me go with the control C, copy that. Let me get sensei here. Okay, let me paste it, go with shift enter and say sensei. Is this how you wanted it? Question mark. Okay, because I just follow the instructions for now, guys, but eventually I'm going to be starting to use this in like actual mini projects, but before that I gotta get used to these. Almost Vivek, you got most of it perfect, but there's a slight logic glitch with removal. You did army.insert, okay, +1 rogue. This erases rogue immediately after insertion. Huh, the insertion was to remove archer, not rogue. Oh, I see what it means. Okay, remember, after insertion, the indexes shift. Archer is now at index 2, so army.begin. Other than that, it's all perfect. Okay, so let me just fix that. Okay, that does make sense. I don't know why did I think of that. Let's go with +2. Because I was going to say put using name standard so you don't type out the std part for C++. Honestly, yeah, many people did say me to like use namespace standard, but then some of you guys were also like, if we use namespace standard for like small projects like these, it's like fine and like normal to use it. But when it comes to like big projects, we have like a higher chance of getting name clashes. So I was like, there's like no harm in using this right now because like it's like it wouldn't give me like a different output. It's just extra typing. And honestly, I think that's actually pretty good. Like, because I'd rather prefer like which we call it when I do big projects. I wouldn't want to like struggle because I'm not used to writing like standard console output. That said, there we go. That's the rogue now. Okay, let me go with the control A, control C, copy that, good sensei here. Guys, I feel like I'm way too exhausted. God, I just wrote an exam in team. Okay, next up, let me just paste it and then maybe drink some coffee, I guess. Okay, exactly, Vivek. This is perfect. Rogue inserted at index 1, archer removed correctly, dot front and back, print the correct elements, dot push underscore back, dot size, dot capacity, dot clear, and dot element all work. Final vector output is accurate. This is the ultimate vector function drill master muscle memory. Okay, next up we can move on to some stickers, some trickier scenarios with multiple inserts, arrays, and pops to make you vector unstoppable. Didn't mean to make your vector unstoppable or start user-defined functions. Let me say, sensei, can we move on to more trickier questions and also use if, else if, and else clause question mark because I've learned of that as well, dot dot dot. Okay, let's see. Exactly what I wanted to hear, Vivek. We're going to combine vector functions with logical thinking, if, else, if, and else. This is where you start making decisions with your data, not just moving elements around. Trickier version plus if, else, if question. Okay, excuse me guys, let's see. Firstly, we create a standard vector that just consists of integers called scores. We add a few scores, we print all scores. Check if the first score using dot front. If it's greater than 90, print amazing start. If it's between 80 and 90, print good start. Else if it needs improvement. Okay. Check if the last score using dot back. Okay. Let's see. If it's below 70, print last score is low. Else print last score is fine. Add 100 to the end of the vector using dot pushback. Remove the second element using dot erase. Print all scores after modifications. Print the size and capacity of the vector. This will force you to use dot front, dot back, dot pushback, dot erase, dot size, dot capacity. Practical logic decisions with if, else if, and else. Think about how modifications change indexes. Okay, let me get some say there. Okay, let's go with the controller, delete the whole thing. Let me start off by including IO stream. So I'll go hashtag a pair of ankle braces, include IO stream. And basically IO stream is like the eyes and ears of our compiler slash program, because IO stream is what lets our program know that we're displaying an output or we're trying to extract an input, if that made any sense. That said, since I am going to be using containers, I will be importing vectors because like vector is a container. Okay, then let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer, add a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces. Next up, it says, let's see what's the first instruction. Create a standard vector container which only consists of integers called scores and add a few scores to it. So let's do that. Let me go with a standard vector. So I create a standard vector, okay, with a pair of ankle braces which consists of only integers. This is going to be called scores. I'll set that equal to pair of curly braces. Let's add a few scores. Okay, so I'll need 85, 92, 78, 90, and 66. So I'll go with like 85, 92, 78, 90, and 66. Alright, perfect. I will be ending my container with a semicolon. That said, it says print all scores. So to print all my scores inside of my vector slash container, I'm going to be iterating slash looping over it. So I'll use a for loop. For a pair of parentheses, I'll go with for every integer of score in my vector slash container of scores. Okay, I'll go with a pair of curly parentheses. This is going to be having a standard console output. So a standard console output with an insertion operator of, let's say, score with another insertion operator of, let's say, space. I will be ending that with a semicolon, and then outside my for loop, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be having two colons of a, let's say, new line, because I want my next input to be inputted on the new line. Okay, that said, now we got to use if statements. Check if the first score using dot front. If it's greater than 90, print amazing score. Else if it's between 80 and 90, print good start. Else print needs improvement. Okay, so let's go ahead and use a if statement. I'll go with if a pair of parentheses. Let's go with let's see. I'll go with something like my vector's name, which is scores. Scores dot front. Okay, if my scores dot front, let's say, is greater than 90. So if my score dot front is greater than or equal to 90, did it say equal to? If it's greater than, so no equal to. Okay, if it's greater than 90, I'm going to be printing something. Let's see. Okay, what I'm going to be printing is I'm going to be adding a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, this is going to be a string that's going to say amazing start. So let's go with amazing start. Did I spell amazing correct? How do you spell amazing? There we go. Amazing start, exclamation mark. Okay, else. Let me end this with a semicolon and then go with an else if. So I'll go with an else if. A pair of parentheses. This is going to say else if my score is between 80 and 90, print good start. So did I like mess up something with the else if? Should the colon be there? Okay, there we go. Okay, else if my scores is vector dot let's say, okay, else if between 80 and 90, else if my scores dot, wait, hold up, it says if the first score, oh, I see, okay, so if my score dot front, okay, if it is between 80 and 90, how do I do that? If my scores dot front is either is if my else if between 80 and 90, I forgot how to do that honestly. Okay, if my score is between 80 and 90, so this is my first score. Okay, I could go with something like 90 if 90 is less than, okay, my score start front, which is less than or equal to 80. Okay, there we go. Okay, if 90 is less than or equal to my scores, there we go, that makes more sense, I think. Okay, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and go with a standard console output with an insertion operator, which is going to be inserting a string to it, or like, yeah, a string. This is going to be saying good start, so I'll go with good start, exclamation. I'll be ending this with a semicolon. Lastly, I'll go with a else clause. My else clause is going to be having a pair of curly braces. This is going to be having a standard console output with an insertion operator that is going to be saying needs improvement. Needs improvement, exclamation. I'll be ending that with a semicolon as well. That said, now I'm going to be checking the last score using dot back. If my score is below 70%, I'm going to be saying last score is low, else print last score is fine. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, I'll go with another if statement now. So I'll go with the if statement, a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my vector, which is my scores is vector dot the, let's say, last function, actually back function. There we go. This gets me the last score. If my last score is below 70, so if my last score is less than 70, okay, I'm going to be adding a pair of curly parentheses and going with a standard console output. So C out with an insertion operator. This is going to say last score is low. So let me go with last score is low exclamation. Maybe fix my typo. Alright, perfect. Next up it says else print last score is fine. I will be ending this with a semicolon and then I'll go with an else clause now. So I'll go with else a pair of curly parentheses. This is going to have a standard console output as well with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like last score is fine exclamation. There we go. Actually dot is good. Okay, next up, add 100 to the end of the vector using the pushback function. Okay, so I will be ending this with a semicolon. And then now let's use a pushback function to add 100 to my vector. My vector is called scores. So scores, my scores is vector dot push underscore back. I want to push back 100. Okay, I will be ending that with a semicolon. Maybe fix my typo. Okay, next up, remove the second element using dot erase. This is where I usually mess up. So now I added 100, so there is like 100 after this. That's going to be index 0. Use the second element, so I got to remove 92. Did I add anything else? I didn't add anything else so far, so my indexes didn't change. So I could go with scores. My scores is vector dot erase function. Okay, add a pair of parentheses here and then go with my scores as vector slash container again dot begin, my begin function. I'm going to be adding a number here since this is going to be the second the second element, which is going to be my first index. That's index 0, that's index 1. Okay, which is the second element. So I erase my second element. I will end that with a semicolon. And then it says print all scores after modification. I will be printing my modified vector now. To print it, I'll use a for loop for a pair of parentheses, and then let's see. I could go with something like for every, let's say, it's an integer, right? For every integer of score in my vector slash container of scores, I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to show my score as an output. Okay, every score is going to be separated by a space. I'll be adding a semicolon here. And maybe I'll add another standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be new line, so I can use a new line now. That said, print the size and capacity of the vector. So let's go ahead and print the size first. For printing the size, I will need a standard console output as well. So I'll go with standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, because I was going to say... Alright, so I got a standard console output. This is going to be having something like size. There we go. I'll go with another insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my vector. My vector is going to be scores dot the size function. Okay, perfect. I'll go with another insertion operator. And this is going to be a new line. So, pair of double quotes / new. Is that called / or backward slash? I will be ending with a new line. I will be ending it with a semicolon, and then let's go ahead and print the capacity. To print the capacity, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of capacity. There we go. Okay, with another insertion operator, this is going to be my vector of scores, vector slash container of scores, dot the capacity function, okay, with another insertion operator, which is going to be new line. Alright, perfect. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and return 0. Alright, if I were to go with the Control S to save my code and run the command, maybe have a clean terminal. There we go. Okay, these are my original scores. I do want to add like a space, so let's go ahead and add a space after printing everything. Maybe after my okay, amazing start, I will go with a new line here as well. / new line. Maybe I'll go with a new line here as well. / maybe outside my pair of quotes. Okay, quotes, new line. This is going to basically add like a new line because I don't want everything to be clumped up in the same line. Like, I feel on the same line would be sounding much better. There we go. Forward slash new line. Maybe remove that colon off there. Okay, lastly, I'll add one here as well. Insertion operator, pair of quotes, new line. Insertion operator, pair of quotes, new line. If I were to go with the Control S, save my command and run the code, maybe in a clean terminal. There we go. It says score is my first score is 85. Since my first score is below 90 or less than 90, it prints good start. And then let's see. It says last score is low since my score is greater than. If scores dot back, okay, is less than 70, since my last score is 66, that is less than 70. It says last score is too low. My size of my score is 5. There are 5 here, and my capacity is 10. Perfect. Okay, let me go with the Control C, copy that, get sensei slash chat GPT here, paste it, send it, and then maybe drink some more coffee. Okay, Vivek, I see where you stumble. You're almost there, but this else if condition is broken. Check this line. Okay, this was the line that I messed up because I don't know how to check if his score is like between something. Okay, else if 90 is less than or equal to score short front, which is less than or equal to 80, C++ does not chain comparisons like Python. There we go. I was used to the Python way of this thinking. I was used to the Pythonic way, guys. Okay, 90 is less than or equal to score dot front. Okay, will not work correctly. It's evaluated as 90 is less than or equal to score dot front. Okay, which is less than or equal to. Oh, I see. Okay, first part is true slash false, 1 or O. Then compare that to 80, always true. Okay. Else if my scores dot front is less than 90 and my scores dot front is greater than or equal to 80, other minor things, capacity typo should be capacity. Okay, fixed if else if block. Okay, I forgot. Okay, I was used to doing it in Python the way like we change stuff. That said, everything else is good. Okay, let me say I see dot dot dot. Can I get more practice? In that case, I was used to the Pythonic way of chaining the stuff. I forgot what it's called, guys. That said, I do want to use the logical operators more as well. So, including the functions, can I also get questions that requires me to use logical operators? Alright, let's see. Okay, exactly, Vivek. We're going to hit the sweet spot where vector functions meet logical operators. You're going to practice dot front, dot back, dot pushback, dot popback, dot insert, dot erase, dot size, dot capacity, dot empty, if else, logical operators, and or not greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Here's your new instructional question. Instructions: create a standard vector called integer. Okay, create a standard vector which only consists of integers called marks. These are our marks. Print all marks. Check if the first mark using dot front if it's greater than or equal to 80 and less than 100, print strong start. Else if it's below 50 or above 100, print check first mark. Else print average start. Check the last mark using dot back. If it's below 70 and even, print. Okay, if it's below 70 and even. Okay, it says if it's below 70 and even. I think the even is like, I gotta use modulus for finding even. Okay, I gotta like ask that part to Sensei. Else print last mark of the day. Okay, let me say, should say to find if it's even, do we use modulus? How do you spell modulus? M-O-U-D-U-L-O-S. Is that how you spell modulus? Pretty sure that's not. Let me check. Okay, modulus, modulus. Do we use modulus, which is an percent sign question mark? Okay, exactly, Vivek. In C++, to check if a number, you use a modulus operator. Percent sign gives you the remainder after division if number is if number modulus 2 equals to 0, the number is even. If it's not equal to 0, the number is odd. Okay, so it's the same as Python. Okay, let's try the instructional based question, guys. Let me get some ChatGPT there. Although before that, let me check if my Twitch stream and Kick stream is going good. Okay, Twitch stream's going good. Let me check Kick. Okay, perfect. Lastly, let me check YouTube stream. Alright, perfect. Okay, so let me go with the Control A, delete the whole thing, maybe get some safe instructions open here. Alright, perfect. Let me start off by right here. Let me start off by including a pair of ankle braces, maybe zoom in a little. Let me include a pair of ankle braces, IO stream. So I start off by including IO stream. IO stream is basically eyes and ears of our program. It like checks if we're trying to display an output or trying to extract an input. That said, let me go ahead and include something else. I'm going to be including, let's say, vector as well. There we go. And then let me start off by typecasting my main function to an integer, and then add a pair of curly braces. Maybe go with a bunch of spaces. Okay, perfect. Next up, let me create a standard vector of marks that only consists of integers. So I could go with something like standard vector, a pair of ankle braces, integer. So this is a container that just consists of integers, although I will be naming this container to something like marks. There we go. Is that how you spell marks? M-A-R-K-S. Okay, I'll set that equal to a few marks. I'll go maybe to a new line. Okay, so my marks is going to be 55, 80, 90, 72, 66. So 55, 80, 90. Excuse me, guys, 72 and 66. Okay, I will be ending my container with a semicolon, and then let's see. Check if the first mark using dot front. So let me go ahead and check the first mark. To check that, I'll go with something like, wait, it says check the first mark. If it's greater or equal to 80 and less than 100, print strong start. So let's go with the if statement. If a pair of parentheses, if my vector, which is marks, if my marks dot front, okay. Oh, I spelled front wrong. Actually, I didn't spell front wrong. I forgot a pair of parentheses. There we go. If my marks dot front, okay. If it's okay, if it's greater than or equal to 80 and less than 100, print strong start. So if my marks is either greater than or equal to 80. Okay, so if my marks, maybe I go outside. Do I need to go outside? It's greater than or equal to 80. Okay, I think it needs to go inside. Okay, so if my marks is greater than or equal to 80, okay, or actually and less than 100. Let's go with and my marks is less than 100. So my marks dot front is less than 100. Less than 100. Okay, is greater than or equal to 80 and less than 100, print strong start. So I will be going here and adding a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be printing something like strong start exclamation. I will be ending that with a semicolon. That said, else if it's below 50 or above 100, print check first mark. Else if it's below 50 or above 100. Let's see if it's below 50 or above 100. I'll go with an else if. Okay, else if my marks dot front, okay, is either below 50, so less than 50, okay, or so I'll go with two pipelines or poles, or above 100 or greater than, or my marks dot front, okay, is greater than 100. I'm going to be printing check first mark. So I'll go with a pair of curly braces, add a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, this is going to be saying something like check first mark exclamation. I'll be ending that with a semicolon as well. And then else print average start. Let's go with an else clause now. I'll go with else a pair of curly parentheses. I'm going to be adding a standard console output. So standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to say something like average start. Exclamation. Perfect. Alright, next up, check the last mark using dot back. So now, let me go ahead and check the last mark using back. But before all this, I might actually add a pair of a insertion operator, new line. There we go, because I want this to be like in a new line. So an insertion operator, parentheses, new line. Okay, I'll be adding that for this as well. I'll go with an insertion operator slash new line, pair of quotes, new line. Okay, perfect. Next up, I go with an if statement. So let me go with an if statement. If a pair of parentheses, if my vector, which is my marks' vector, dot, let's say, back. Okay, if my marks dot back is either, what you will call it. Let's say if my marks is back is below 70 and even. Okay, so if my marks is back is less than 70, okay, and so two ands, and it is even. So to go with even, I'll go with actually for going with even, I gotta check modulus. So my marks modulus. So if my okay, number modulus 2. So if my marks is vector dot back, okay, my last marks modulus 2, okay, and even equals to 0. Okay, this is going to be the back function. There we go. So what this basically means is if my marks, if my last mark, which is technically 66, if 66 is less than 70, and my marks dot back and 66 modulus 2 equals to 0, and my marks is set to 0, I'm going to be printing last mark is low and even. So let's go with a pair of curly braces. I'm going to be going with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like last mark is low and even exclamation. Okay, I will be ending this with a semicolon. That said, did I do something wrong here? Why is this showing like oh, there we go. Let me add a pair of double quotes there as well. Okay, else print last mark is low. Else I'm going to be printing last mark is low. Let's go with an else clause. Add a pair of curly braces. I'm going to be adding a standard console output. Okay, with an insertion operator, this is going to say something like last mark is low exclamation. Control Z maybe. There we go. I will be adding another insertion operator of new line here because I want it to be printed in a new line. I'll do the same thing here, an insertion operator, pair of double quotes, new line. Okay, and then I'll end this with a semicolon. Alright, perfect. Add 88 to the end using pushback. So let's add 88 to my marks using the pushback function. So I'll go with my marks as vector dot push underscore back. I want to push back 88. There we go. I'll go with an insertion operator. And then insert 77 at the third position. So the third position. Right now I have an 88 here as well, so that's index 0, that's third position, so index 2. So I'll go with my marks dot insert. Okay, I want to insert something inside of my marks dot begin. This is going to be 2, which is going to be my third position. I want to insert 77. Okay, remove the second element. Okay, so now I got to remove the second element, which is at index 1, that is 80. Let's go with marks dot erase. I want to erase my second element, so marks dot begin plus 1. There we go. I will be ending that with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Next up, it says print all marks after modification. So let me go ahead and print them. I will go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to print. Actually, I'm not printing my raw marks. Since my marks is a vector slash a container, I'm going to be iterating over it. So I'll go with a for loop. For every integer, okay, for every integer of mark in my vector slash container of marks, I'll add a pair of curly parentheses. This is going to be a standard console output with an insertion operator of my mark. Okay, Was my string going good? I thought it just glitched. Okay, with another insertion operator of an empty space. Alright, perfect. Print the size and capacity, clear the vector, and print whether it's empty or not. So, before I print the size and capacity, I am going to be going with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator of a new line. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and print the size and capacity. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like size. Another insertion operator of my vector, which is marks, my marks.thesize function, my container of marks.thesize function, with another insertion operator of, let's see, why does that show like a red line? Size, marks.size. Okay, next is going to be something like a new line. Okay, perfect. I will be ending that as well. Although, why does this... Okay, probably because I need 2 less than signs. My insertion operator was wrong, guys. That said, I will be adding a capacity as well. So let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my capacity. There we go. With another insertion operator, this is going to be my vector slash container of marks.theCapacity function. There we go. Okay, I will be adding another insertion operator of a new line. Okay, I'll be ending that with a semicolon. Next up, let's check if my my vector. So it says clear the vector. So after I cleared my vector, let me go ahead and clear it real quick. I'll go with my marks.clear function. This clears my entire vector slash container, and then check if my print whether it's empty or not. So if my vector is empty, if it's currently empty, and that is true, it's going to print 1. If it's not empty, it's going to print false. So let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, I'm going to be checking something. Let's go with, maybe I'll go with first a string and add something that says empty. There we go. And then add another insertion operator and go with my marks.theEmpty function. Okay, let's check if it's empty. If it is empty, then it's going to return true. If it's not empty, it's going to return false. Okay, I'll go with another insertion operator, maybe a standard end line with a semicolon. Lastly, I'll go ahead and return 0. Okay, perfect. If I were to save my command, Control S, and run the code, okay, it says average start, last mark, empty is 1 because my container is empty. Okay, let's go with a Control C, copy that. Let me get ChatGPT here. Okay, let me paste it, go Shift Enter and say, is this what we had to do, question mark? I'm pretty sure this is what we had to do, but I do make sure sometimes. Oh, Vivek, you're close, but let's stare into this step by step. Your logical condition is broken. Okay, I knew this part was messed up. Check this line. Think. Can a number be less than or equal to 80 and greater than 100 at the same time? Oh no, it can't actually. No, that condition is impossible, so it will never execute. The correct check for strong start is if marks is either greater than or equal to 80 and my marks.front is less than 100. Oh, okay. Also, small mistake. Check first mark, typo, check first mark. Okay, in the second if, remove that extra single quotes. Okay. Finally, the else print. Okay, that was just my logical condition. Okay, that does make sense. Okay, if it's less than 80, there we go. So if my marks is either greater than or equal to 80, but my marks is less than 100. Okay, if I were to go with, maybe I fix my typo as well. This is going to be check. There we go. Okay, if I were to go with the Control A, actually Control S to save my code if I run the command. Okay, average start, mark is low, and there's like an extra quotation right somewhere here. So it says last mark is low. Remove that extra quote. Last mark is low and even. Where's my low and even? Okay, last mark. There we go. Okay, let me clear my terminal again. Go with the Control S. Now if I run the command. There we go. Last mark is low and even. 55. Average start. Perfect. Let's go with the control A, control C. Copy that. Get sensei here. There we go. Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, guys. Mic test. Oh wait, actually, let me go to my gameplay screen. Guys, my OBS just crashed. Okay, that said, let me paste that. Okay, I might actually end the stream after this question because I do have like some college stuff to do because I got summer homework even though my exam was over today. That said, much better, Vivek. You fixed the impossible condition. Okay, else block, first mark logic, last mark logic through instructions. Okay, this is solid practice. Your logical operators and vector functions are starting to feel like muscle memory. Next level, I can give you a vector challenge with multiple conditions, multiple inserts, arrays, and checks using modulus. Okay, let me say, Sensei, can we work on that next stream / tomorrow? Question mark. I still got to go right now because I have a lot of homework from my college. That said, before I end the stream, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers? Question mark. Guys, I wonder how a sensei gonna understand this. Listen up, mortals. Today we dominated vector functions like a true C++ warrior. Front, back, push, pop, insert, erase, size, capacity, empty, all of it. Remember this. Logical thinking combined with mastery, your tools is what separates a coder from a master. Vivek has to go to tackle some college homework now, but tomorrow we take it to the next level. Tricky vector challenges, multiple conditions, modulus, everything, streamers. Watch closely. This is how you turn muscle memory into code domination. Now, okay, and remember, a vector without logic is like a sword without a hand. Use it wisely. Okay, let me actually go to my main camera. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. I know I should have actually done more, but I was pretty exhausted. Like my what you call it, my exam had like 50 questions, plus I had like another class after that exam. That said, next stream I am going to be working more on this topic, maybe something else, because I wouldn't have time working on this off stream. That said, if you guys enjoyed the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Like helps with my algorithm, sharing makes you smile, and subscribing is like a cherry top. And guys, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. So if you guys haven't followed me on Twitch and Kick, and you guys enjoy my content, make sure to follow me on Twitch and Kick. And if you guys haven't subscribed to me on YouTube yet, make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube, and well, also join the Discord server. The link is in the description and in the pinned comments. Catch you guys on the next live stream or video. Peace. And like usual, I gotta wait for